Good afternoon. Welcome to this 10 Weather Impact Show. I'm meteorologist Chris Tomer, and I come to you on a very wet day. But the good news is the rain is really coming to an end now and winding down, and we're headed for a much drier pattern. So we've been dealing with some heavy rain and storms the last 24 hours, but we aren't the only ones. Before we get into the forecast, check out this video of a massive lightning strike out of Texas. I mean, it sounds like a bomb was dropped in that area. All the car alarms were set off. That was in Aubrey, Texas on Wednesday night as storms moved through there. That strike close enough to briefly knock out the power in a neighborhood. So clearly there was a touchdown with that. I wonder if that was a negative strike or a positive strike. That's a big time lightning bolt. The neighborhood set off obviously all those car alarms right there. So that is that is unbelievable. But this was a pretty far-reaching storm system. We were on the very wet end of it up here. We did have some lightning and thunder come through last night, but I'll tell you what, all that's behind us now. We are turning drier. So the heaviest rain has now moved through. And so just a very slow, gradual drying pattern now. So Friday looks to be like a primarily dry day around here. The next item on our list is going to be a cold front that comes through with a thunderstorm chance. And some of the storms could be strong, maybe low end severe between 1 and 6 p.m. on Saturday. That's the way it looks right now. These are the flood watches. I'll tell you, they were covering central Ohio pretty much all of yesterday and last night. Now they've been shaved away and nibbled back to just parts of southern Ohio where they've received the most rain and where we still have some flood warnings because some of these streams and the creeks down there, especially the Hocking River down there in the Hocking Hills, all those are running above bank full, and so they're warning for that. Obviously, that could be a problem, but at least the heavy rain has now come to an end. But look at some of these totals. Over the last couple of days, Columbus officially working on 2 inches, just under 2 inches. Newark is in that neighborhood. Dublin's there as well. Less rain to the north, but still an inch up around the Mansfield area. Then you look at areas to the south. I mean, Grove City was basically at 2 inches. So Zanesville, just off towards the east, was just at about 2. Look at Athens, 2.5, almost 3 inches in Chillicothe, almost 3 inches in Washington Courthouse. So our radar can estimate how much rain we've seen. And so over the last 2.5 days, where you see these brighter colors, that's a lot of rainfall. Those are the highest amounts of rain that we've seen. So the yellow, the oranges, even some of these pinks just near Dayton, between Dayton and Cincinnati, our radar is estimating 7.5 inches of rain in those areas. 3, 4, I mean, all the way down towards where we have those flood warnings near the Hocking Hills, 3 to 4, maybe even 5 inches of rain. And there is our roughly 2 inches there for a lot of central Ohio. And that's what we're forecasting, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain for most of central Ohio. So here's the good news. All the heavy rain now is moving away. And so a drier pattern now will settle in behind this. Let me give you the state view. Yes, there is rain to the south. A lot of that's going to miss central Ohio and kind of go around and probably brush southern Ohio where we have those flood warnings. But this was the very sort of back edge of all of this. Now we look ahead. This is for Saturday. The severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We don't typically worry about the green shaded areas. That's a very low level risk of a thunderstorm. The yellow, though, starts to, we start to look at this more closely. That's a level 2, and that's actually a slight risk for severe weather. And you can see the indication is a lot of eastern Ohio is in that, probably clipping parts of central Ohio. Although I'll tell you, I think it's kind of a low risk at this point. I'm not like blown away by the chances. If we get anything on Saturday between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m., I think there is a medium risk for strong winds. I think that is definitely a possibility, and it's a given. I mean, all the soils are just totally saturated. So if we get heavy rainfall, we will likely see additional flooding across the area. So here's what to expect for the next 12 hours. It's basically just cloudy. Yes, maybe a sprinkle or some mist. And then you have to start to think about the fog potential. We may have some fog develop just because there's so much moisture in the soils. Temperatures will fall through the 50s, so it actually stays pretty mild. Looking at the chances of rain down the road, yes, we still have a chance tomorrow, but it's low at 20%. There's our chance up to 70% on Saturday, and then all the rain should be done by then. Sunday, Monday will be dry, and then we start to add some chances of rain in there for Tuesday and Wednesday with another front that will come through. It's probably going to be a cold front. All right, so here's the hour by hour, and this is effective starting at 4 p.m. So the start of the evening rush, drier. All that clears away. There may be a little bit of fog, especially in the southern counties. By the time we get to late tonight into tomorrow morning, you can see a little bit of that gray settling in. It doesn't look like it's everywhere, but notice there's very little green on this forecast radar. There might be a passing shower, maybe a very low-end thunderstorm, isolated thunderstorm for tomorrow. But this is Friday at 5 p.m. I mean, it mainly looks dry to me on this. And then by the time we get into Saturday morning, no problems. If you've got outdoor activities the first half of the day, I don't think there's really an issue with that. And then by the time we get into the afternoon, between that 1 and probably 6 time frame, there are some thunderstorms. You see these popping up right here with some of the oranges shining through. Any one of these thunderstorms, especially east of Columbus, any one of those could be on the stronger side and maybe low end severe. And then all of that moves away. And immediately we'll have some colder, drier air begin to filter in behind that cold front and cut off pretty much all of the rain. Here is our 10 Weather Impact 7-day forecast. So on Friday, again, it's a much drier day with a very low chance of a storm in 73. Now Saturday, we are alerting. We have a weather impact alert for the afternoon for that potential of a strong or even a low-end severe type thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high of 70. And then we're much drier behind that. We do spring forward 1 hour on Sunday. It looks to be mainly sunny. I really like Sunday and Monday overall. I think we're going to see a lot of sun. It'll be dry both days. Highs on Monday surge all the way up to 72. And then we're going to take a look ahead. We've got Tuesday and Wednesday. That's our next front that comes through. That's likely going to be a cold front. And you can see why. The temperature drops 20 degrees between Wednesday and Thursday. There may be some rain showers on Wednesday as that comes through, and temperatures down into the 40s by then. All right, so with all of the rain that we have had, what remains in the forecast for here in Central Ohio? The flooding, that's the main concern. Mentioned that a lot last night with saturated soils. And so that's what we're really looking at right now. The Franklin County Emergency Management folks say the river flooding is not a concern as of right now for most of the area, but they are definitely watching for localized flash flooding.
Typically, we have 2 Corps of Engineer dams up in Delaware County whose job it is to retain stormwater. So, they'll notify us if they're having to shed water or if they're holding back water.
And if you see any flooding in your neighborhood, you can just call them. You can call them, text, you can call us and send us your photos as well. But there's the number on the screen. We would like to see the photos or videos you have of the rain. We'll show them on air, show them on the stream. Rain, fog, flooding, all of them. Text them 614-460-3345. We appreciate that. All right, with our weather starting to reflect the spring season, which is just around the corner, we do spring forward this Sunday, and then the official start of spring is March 20th. Here in Central Ohio, the roads are starting to reflect the potholes. It's pothole season. There's no question. Gwen Napier reports on the impacts that we may be seeing here ahead.
Warmer weather is on the way, but before spring gets here, we have to go through another season of sorts. One AAA calls pothole season. If your commute feels more like dodging craters than cruising, you're not alone. AAA says pothole season is arriving earlier than expected this year, after a harsh winter.
AAA did some research a couple of years ago and took a look at potholes, and 2 in 10 drivers had to actually have their car repaired at an auto repair facility after hitting a pothole. And also, they showed that damage across the country was actually on the rise, so potholes were getting worse. What we always see at this time of year is tire calls for people saying, I hit this pothole and I'm having tire damage. And that's usually as a result of these potholes that are so popular at this time of year.
Carrie says hitting a pothole can quickly become expensive. with average repair costs starting around $400 depending on the damage, making awareness your best defense.
A lot of times you see a puddle. Well, a lot of times potholes disguise themselves under puddles or standing water. So be aware of that when you're driving down the road. Sometimes you're taken by surprise. You just think you're going through a little bit of water and boom, you hit that pothole. So definitely be on the lookout for them.
But experts say avoiding damage doesn't mean risking a crash.
If you try to swerve, you can crash into another vehicle, into property, into a person. So just be on the lookout for potholes. You want to try to avoid them. So put the phone down, avoid distractions, keep your eyes on the road, scan the road for potholes. And then if you do approach one, if you can't move out of the way, control your speed and slow down.
We also spoke with the owner of Bison Automotive, Bob Gugino, who explained some of the most common damage from potholes.
The most common thing is you get a flat tire. You get a blowout, you get a hole in the sidewall, you bent the rim, you crack the rim, those kinds of things. That's probably the most common. The second most common thing is to have one of these shields fall off, where that falls off and hits the road. And we especially in a low profile car, we hit a curb or something that's in the road and these fall off. And then of course all the water and the salt and the things get up inside the car and ruin the undercarriage or the electronics of the vehicle.
When on the roadways during pothole season, you're going to want to pay attention to your surroundings and not swerve into another car's lane to miss those potholes. If you can't swerve to miss the potholes, you're going to want to slow down your vehicle as much as possible and go over those potholes slowly to minimize damage. Reporting in North Buffalo, Gwen Napier, News 4.
All right, well, now to some news about our environment. New research suggesting that the world's sea levels may be much higher than scientists previously thought, and that could mean coastal communities may face flooding risks sooner than expected. A study published Wednesday in the Journal of Nature found global coastal sea levels are about a foot higher on average than earlier estimates, and in some regions as much as 3 feet higher. The researchers reviewed nearly 400 studies on sea level. I didn't even realize there were that many. They found many relied on models, well, of course, rather than real-world satellite measurements. Scientists say that oversight have led to widespread underestimates of how much land and how many people are at risk from coastal flooding. The findings suggest that if sea levels rise about 3 feet, the impact could put more than a third more of the land now underwater than previously projected. All right, to another story about the changing climate. Climate scientists are digging into history to protect one of the world's favorite drinks. Tea is under the microscope in the UK, as CBS's Tina Krause shows us.
In Britain, tea is much more than a drink. It's a national pastime. So it's fitting that scientists in the UK are reading the tea leaves.
I had a sample from 1913.
From 200 years ago to find out how to protect the brew for the future.
I'm looking at how the crop will change in the next couple of hundred years with the climate change.
Mini leaves come from Sri Lanka, China, and India way back in the 1800s, giving scientists at the Royal Botanic Gardens in London a window into how tea adapted to weather across Asia.
Those countries experienced very different climates back then compared to what they're experiencing now.
Researchers say climate change is hitting tea harvests hard. By comparing historic and modern plants, they hope to spot the traits that help some varieties stand up to heat, drought, and heavy rains.
The soil becomes eroded when there's really heavy rainfall, and obviously the heat from the sun can also damage the soil and also burn the top of the leaves.
With every taste of the beloved brew, Ahmed Tea says growers are struggling to keep up with the demand. The company hopes to help cultivate solutions.
The science that comes out and the learnings that come out, we can try and create a sort of practical guide for tea growers.
Brewing resilience to keep a centuries-old tradition going strong. Tina Krause, CBS News, London.
All right, Tina, well, thank you for that. So, yeah, you have to check this out. Take a look at this video right here. This is some pretty cool stuff. That is from New Taipei City, Taiwan. That is really cool. Hundreds of lanterns were released into the Taiwanese night sky as the annual festival in New Taipei happened on Tuesday evening. The event marks the end of the Lunar New Year's festivities and sees visitors write their wishes for the year ahead of the for the year ahead, basically, and then attach them to these lanterns and then let them go into the air. So you write your dreams down and then you kiss them goodbye and hope they come back. And that's what they did out there. So they're basically just celebrating sort of in a very peaceful way. They're hoping that all that works out and those wishes come back to them. Very cool. And speaking of lunar events, while we may not have been able to see the lunar eclipse this week because of cloud cover and just a ton of rain in central Ohio, thanks to the weather, obviously, but you can still taste it thanks to Capri Sun. Capri Sun marked the rare blood moon this past week, in addition to celebrating NASA's first crewed lunar mission in 50 years with the launch of the Capri Sun Blood Moon Punch drink. Remember those where you have to try to stick that yellow straw in there and it takes about 10 tries? The Kraft Heinz company said the limited edition glow-in-the-dark pouches feature a bold reddish color and come in 8 collectible moon phase designs. All right, well, before we go, let's see if we have time. 2:50, yep, we have time. I want to take one more look at the forecast hour-by-hour radar because this is important. I want to show you that a lot of the heavy rain is over with in central Ohio. Watch the clock roll ahead. There may be an additional sprinkle or two across Columbus and central Ohio, but by and large, the heavy rain is over. And there may be some fog to contend with tonight into tomorrow morning, but this actually does have some clearing. Friday looks like a decent day. 20% chance of a shower, maybe an isolated thunderstorm, maybe even some sunshine coming out in the afternoon hours. That's Friday at 5 p.m. Then we'll focus on Saturday. The morning is totally fine, as you can see there, with maybe some sunshine. And then in the afternoon, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., we are going to watch for the possibility of a strong, maybe low-end type severe thunderstorm with wind and heavy rain that comes across. And I will be tracking that potential through the course of tonight here on 10 TV. I appreciate you tuning in here for this Weather Impact Show. Take care. Have a great day.